Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar for July. What you can't see can hurt you, exposing shadow IT and file sharing risks. I'm Katie Watson, and I'll be your host today on behalf of Secon. If this is your first time joining us, a very warm welcome. At Secon, we're your cybersecurity partner here to help organizations like yours stay ahead of risks and through practical insights, clarity, and a human approach to security. Oops, problem with the slides there. So today we're going to focus on shadow IT and uncontrolled file sharing. With today's collaborative habits, while they are empowering, they are quietly creating new exposure points. Traditional security tools often can't see what's happening in the browser, but attackers can. And that's what makes this such an important topic to explore. I am very excited today to be joined by Aidan Power. So Aidan is the head of product management at dope.security with deep experience in leading CASB and web security at ForcePoint. And now he's driving product innovation at dope.security. Aidan brings a sharp and real world perspective on how to balance user productivity with data protection. So in this session today, we'll unpack why shadow IT thrives and why traditional controls can't keep up, how everyday file sharing is introducing compliance risk, what real visibility and control looks like, and how to protect your organization without slowing people down. So I am just going to go through some housekeeping rules. And while I do that, I'm going to put a poll into the chat. And that is just for you guys to gauge an idea of how you feel about shadow IT at the moment within your organization. So you should be seeing that on your screen at the moment. Now, before I hand over to Aidan and he shares his expertise, there's just a little bit of housekeeping. This webinar is being recorded and the recording will be shared with you afterwards, so don't worry if you miss anything. And a Q&A will be taking place at the end, so please do feel free to put questions in the Q&A function throughout and we'll visit them at the end. And then finally, if you do have any questions at all, please do feel free to reach out to me at katie.watson@seconcyber.com and Aidan will be more than happy to help you answer those specific questions. So without further ado, I will stop sharing now and I will hand over to Aidan, who will take you through shadow IT and file sharing.
Hi everyone, thanks for attending today's webinar. So let me just share my screen. So can you see that screen here? Yeah, Katie, is that can everyone see that?
All good? Yeah, we're all good.
Okay, so just in terms of the format of today's webinar, so I'm going to just go through a couple of slides initially, and then I will demo the product, but it will be a shadow IT related demo, especially around file extraction. And then at the end of it, I'll come back and I'll show you the roadmap of what we're planning to develop in the next while at dope.security. And I then believe there's a Q&A at the end of that as well. So first off, I'll just introduce myself. So as Katie mentioned, before Dope, I was a principal product manager at ForcePoint, where I was responsible for the endpoints for the secure web gateway, and I was also responsible for the CASB product there. Since then, I've been with Dope Security since the very start, so built the product from scratch, and that's over 4 years ago now. Just to also, I suppose, to introduce the company Dope and the term Dope. So Dope is an American-based company, and in the US, particularly on the West Coast, the term Dope, it means very good. It means excellent, and that's something that we sort of assign to or ascribe to within Dope Security. Everything that we do, we try to ensure it is dope. So then let me just quickly introduce the product. So at the moment, we've got two products. We've got a secure web gateway and we've got CASB Neural. So within those products, what we offer is we offer full SSL inspection. We offer URL filtering. We offer cloud application controls. We detect and show shadow IT. We also have instant policy push, which means that once policies are updated within our console, they're pushed out to all of the endpoints across your fleet instantly. And finally, as part of our CASB Neural, we're using LLM for data loss prevention. And again, I'll go into more detail on that later. But I guess to tie this into what the title of today's webinar. So I guess I think in 2024, Gartner said that there were 50% of the cloud apps that are in use were actually unsanctioned. So that means that there's multiple ways for end users to exfiltrate data from their corporate devices away. Particularly if you look at personal accounts and SaaS apps like Dropbox or Box, G Drive, OneDrive, there's lots of opportunities for people there to take data from their corporate devices and to share it. So the first part, I suppose, for admins to get an understanding of this is visibility. So with the SSL inspection that we offer, it means that we can provide this visibility. We can show what apps people are accessing from their corporate devices, and on top of that, we can also actually show what accounts people are using to access those applications as well. So then once the admin has an understanding of what risks potentially are out there, we have user-based policies that then allow admins to put a control on top of this. They can put policies in place that can stop people from accessing certain categories, certain domains, and therefore means that they will not be able to exfiltrate data. I guess then the other part that we have as well as part of our Casby Neural, product, what it offers is basically it scans SaaS apps and it detects any publicly shared files, and then using LLMs, it classifies the data within these files, showing people exactly what files are publicly shared and what those files contain. I guess the LLM part of it means that we have drastically reduced the false positives that would have existed with the older technologies of regexes and pattern matching. So just a bit more on our product and on the secure web gateway. So I guess if you go back to maybe 20, 30 years ago now, I suppose secure web gateways were basically on-device on-prem proxies. So people were all sitting within an office, and then within that office there was a proxy sitting on a device. So basically all the traffic went through that proxy, and then it was secured there. Then if you go maybe, I suppose, 15 years ago now, Zscaler came along and they took that proxy from on the device and they put that in the cloud. So I guess what that meant then is that the boxes were never there, and no matter where people were, they were secured. They were able to secure the traffic via the cloud. So I guess what we've done is, I guess we've noticed that there was a couple of difficulties with that. The first part was reliability. So you're basically relying on other people's infrastructure to connect to the internet. This also then obviously means that the performance is poor because the traffic's being routed to a remote location for the traffic to be secured. And obviously as well, there's a lack of privacy here because traffic is being decrypted in a remote location, which means that other people can see that decrypted traffic. So I guess the analogy that we use within Dope Security is that the traffic going from the device to the remote proxy is essentially, it's like a stopover flight. So it would be the equivalent of flying from London to Dublin and say, you have to stop in Edinburgh to have your security checks done. No one would do that because it obviously means that it would be slower. So what we've done essentially is that we've taken the proxy that is in the data center and we've put that onto the device. So what that means is that the traffic is inspected on the device. So what it solves for, it means that it's more reliable, it's more performant, and it's also, excuse me, just a sec, it's more performant, and it also solves the privacy issue. So I guess the big point here is what it means is that because the proxy is on device, it means that it is way easier to deploy, which reduces the overhead for admin teams. And it also means that from a performance perspective, the performance is 4 times faster than using a cloud proxy. So I'm just going to go in here and demo the product. So if you look here, this is our console, our overview. And within here, we have a shadow IT view. So the shadow IT view, what it provides you, it can show exactly what applications people are using within your org. So on the right-hand panel here, you can see the actual applications, and you can actually see the amount of data that's been transferred. So you can see here, there's a full list. Now, on top of that, within Dope Security, what we're doing is we're actually showing the accounts that people are using. So if I look here at Google, I can see that there's 4 gig of data transferred but that has been transferred from 8 corporate logins and 6 personal logins. So I can select inside here, and I can look, and I can see people are using corporate device or corporate emails, but they're also using personal emails. So if I scroll down here, and I can see Erica has transferred nearly 1 gig of data, and you can see that she's using 2 personal emails as well. So this may be of interest. You may start thinking maybe Erica is actually she has started to move data from her corporate device onto her personal accounts. So this is something that may be of interest to an admin. So it's not that obviously we do it for Microsoft as well. And you can see within Microsoft here, you can see exactly the accounts that people are using. And the same for something like Slack. So you can see here, Slack, there's 6 gig of data being transferred. And if I look down here, I can see again, Erica is responsible for transferring 1 gig of that data, but it's with her own corporate account. So that's maybe not as concerning. But if I look down here at John, he's also using a personal email, and you can see he's using a personal workspace from his corporate device as well. So again, this may be of interest. And it's not just obviously shadow IT. You can actually see all of the categories that people are accessing. So again, if I can search here, and if I look at Erica, I can come in here and I can see exactly what Erica's, the categories that she's been accessing and the amount of data that she's been transferring. So in the last 7 days here, you can see that Erica has transferred 60 gig of data, and that's across these different categories. And again, if I select inside here, I can see exactly what domains she's been accessing and the amount of data that she's been transferring. So again, this is giving full visibility to the admins. And what that means then is if they want to, they can come back and they can apply policy to maybe prevent people from accessing these sites or preventing them from uploading. So that's the next part of the demo. So if I come in here, this is a policy within the Dope console. So we've got nearly 90 different categories that you can set to allow, block, or warning. So if you look here, you can see like we've got categories for file storage, which I'll demo in a minute as well, because that's quite important. But let me start with the cloud application controls piece. So at the moment, we offer controls on 8 different cloud applications. You can see these here, and you can set different types of policies to basically controls people's access to these SaaS apps. So for Google, you can see at the moment, I'm allowed to just access the Dope Security corporate domain. And I'm also allowing people to access their Gmail and Google Mail accounts, but I've got a control on the upload to that. So what that means is I can go into my Gmail, but if I was to try and to upload a file to it, it would be blocked. So you can see here, this is my corporate account. And if I come in here, you can see I'm able to access my personal Gmail. But if I go into Drive, and again, I select here, what you see now is that if I come along and I try to upload a file here, let's say select this file, what you see is that file, it will not upload. It'll continue. We've cut the connection with Google. So what that means, if I go back to here, you'll be able to see on the right here, a block has been generated just now for me for Google. So that file will not upload. But I'm still able to read my emails, personal emails, and so forth. So it's an extra control. And again, if I go back to here to the policy again, I'm going to Cloud App. For Microsoft, I've got a different policy in that I've 3 corporate domains that I'm allowed to access, but I'm not allowed to access any consumer, so Outlook, Hotmail.com, or anything like that. So that means if I try to come in here and I go to log into a corporate account, so let's say I come in here and I try to log in here, this is a domain that's not in the allow list. So when I select next, and then I go here, what you'll see is I'm blocked from accessing that. But unlike the Google case, if I come in and I try to access an Outlook, I will also be blocked here because the consumer login is not allowed. So again, it's narrowing the attack surface for people to be able to exfiltrate data from the corporate device. But then if I come in here and I actually go to the one of the domains that's in the allow list, you see here, I'm able to access that then. So it's a very, very simple way for people to add that control in terms of what people are allowed to access, and as I say, reduce the possibilities for them to exfiltrate data. So another, I guess, important piece, or another important thing that's come out recently in terms of data exfiltration, is the dangers around AI. So that's why recently, in the last few weeks, we've actually added a control in ChatGPT. So for anyone out there that's got an enterprise account for ChatGPT, you can put in an enterprise ID inside here. And once you save that, what it actually means is that you're only able to access that ChatGPT account. Now, we do have an AI category as well, so you can actually block AI completely, but this just adds, again, a more granular control. So what it means is that when I do go into OpenAI and I try to log into ChatGPT here, you'll see that it then gets blocked again. And also to point out, that was the instant policy update. You can see there that I updated the policy, saved it, and that was immediately pushed onto my device, and that policy then immediately took effect. So again, very, very simple, very, very easy to do. So then that's the cloud application control piece. And as I say, there are other applications as well. Like there's Box. So for example, if I try to go to a domain that's not in the allow list, you can see again that that's been blocked. So then we also, as I can say, you can add more controls at a category level. So as I say, we have an AI and ML category as well. So you can put a control in there to block it. But for the demo, what I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you the file storage piece. So you can see at the moment, file storage is allowed. And so that would mean that if I go to dropbox.com, you can see I can access that. Or if I go to wetransfer.com, again, you can see that they're all accessible. So what I'll do is I can come back here, and for now, let's put a complete block in file storage. So that would mean that any file storage application or that people try to access, you'll see it's blocked. It's blocked immediately as file storage. And again, you can see the policy was updated immediately once I saved it in the console. So again, it will be the same for WeTransfer. If I go to WeTransfer, it's completely blocked. But we can put sort of more granular controls around that as well. So we have custom categories. So what the custom categories allow us to do, so you can see here within the custom categories, I've now set it up that we've got dropbox.com and wetransfer.com within this custom category. So let's set it up to say that I can build an exception that only I'm allowed to access those categories. Everyone else within the policy will be blocked. So I can come in here and I set the custom category to block, and I build an exception for allow for myself. All of these users and groups are being pulled from either Google or from M365. And then what it means is I can bring this in as allow, and then once they save it, what it means is now this policy is set up that file storage is blocked for everyone else, but I am able to access both Dropbox and WeTransfer. So if I come in here and I go to Dropbox, you see then that is now allowed again. If I go to WeTransfer again, that's allowed again. But let's say if I go to something that I know, another file storage. Oops. If I could spell. Again, you can see that that is still blocked now under the file storage category. So again, very, very configurable, very, very easy to set up, very, very easy to administer as well. And again, means that the risk of data being exfiltrated is reduced again. So that's basically the secure web gateway piece. So I'm just going to move now and I'm going to show you the CASB piece. So as I mentioned at the start, so the CASB piece is essentially, we get access to either your Google or your Microsoft tenant, and then we scan that tenant and we discover any files that are publicly shared or externally shared. And then what we do with those files is that we classify them, but we're not using regexes or pattern matching to that. What we're using is we're using AI or a private LLM to do that. So the main advantage there is that it reduces the number of false positives that regexes and pattern matching in the past would have had issues with. So I can go in here and you can see, look, we've got this many files in our Google tenant, of which 214 are public. So, and down here, then you can see the classification of those. So some are IP, health, credit card, personal information. If I select then on the credit card, I can come in here and you can see is the advantages that the AI gives us is, number one, it's a lot more accurate, but number two, we can provide a lot more information within the console, meaning that people no longer, they don't have to go back out into their Google or their M365 to find the file to verify whether that's still an accurate classification or not. So we've provided the information in here and essentially why we've classified this as PCI. You can see the credit card numbers, you can see the addresses and so forth. And on top of that, we also give what we call a dopamine summary. So it's actually a summary of the document. So as an admin inside here, I can come in, I can say, okay, this is a publicly shared file, which means anyone with the link can access it. So that obviously that can lead to a lot of issues. And I can make a decision based on the information here to remove that file or not, remove the public sharing permissions from that file or not. Very, very, very powerful, very accurate. And actually, if you sign up for a free trial, and I'll show you in a sec, it's very easy for if you sign up for a free trial. Are you able to still see the yeah, you can still see the CASB piece there, yeah? Kadia?
Yeah, we can still see it.
I'm still sharing. Okay, sorry. So again, very, very powerful. The last piece then as well is for external shared files, we give details on exactly where those files are shared or with who. So you can see there's 511 files shared externally within our tenant. And here down the bottom, you can see that 246 of those are actually filed with personal Gmail or Hotmail or Outlooks. And you can see here then these are the top domains that people are sharing files externally with. And finally, you can see down here then as well, you can actually see that there's a total of 47 domains with 207 files shared. And if I come in here then as well, I can get that overview of who they're shared with. And again, I can come in here and I can remove those sharing permissions so those people no longer have access to those files. So very, very, very simple piece. And as I was saying, if you want to sign up for a free trial, we offer a free trial. You can just go to dope.security. Within dope.security, you just sign up with either your Google or your Microsoft account. Once you do that, you get a tenant created like the console I showed you previously. You would then get a free scan. You can scan your tenant. You can see exactly how many files are shared publicly, and you can get an overview of those as well. And you can also get access to our dope agent, the dope endpoint, which you can then install on any device. Once you install it, a policy will start getting applied immediately, and you can test that out that way. So that's essentially the demo. So I'm just going to move back to the slides now. So just to give you an idea of what's coming next, so I'm going to start here. So we're currently working on a secure web gateway DLP, which is essentially monitoring of all uploads on the web channel. So again, the differentiator that we have here is that we're not going to use regexes. We're not going to use pattern matching. We're going to use our private LLM to classify the files. What that will mean is that any file that's uploaded will be classified using the LLM. The admins will be able to set the endpoint into either a monitor or a block mode. So if it's monitors, the file will be uploaded, but you'll get full visibility into it. And again, the dopamine summary that I showed you as part of the CASB is also part of the Suite DLP piece. So again, very, very powerful. Very, very, I guess, in terms of visibility, it would give real visibility into how end users are uploading or what they're uploading on the web channel. This should be available towards the end of Q3. The next piece after that, as part of CASB Neural, is we're working on SSPM. So what that will do is that will provide basically visibility into what third-party applications have access to data within your tenant. So you'll be able to see whether people have, whether third-party apps have global access or whether they have just limited access. Like for example, maybe they just have access to your Google or your Microsoft Calendar, or maybe people are just using their their corporate email for login to certain applications. And again, from within here, you will be able to remove those permissions as needed as well. So again, that's something we're hoping to have towards the end of this year. And then the longer term piece for us as well is we're looking at what we're calling Fly Direct VPN. So this would essentially be a VPN replacement. So you would be able to configure that only certain users would be able to have access to certain apps that maybe are running behind your firewall or within your cloud environment. And that would all be done from the same endpoint as well. So you deploy that endpoint, there would be a configuration in the console as you've seen there, and then that would replace the need for any VPNs that you may currently have. So, Katie, I'll hand it back to yourself.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Aidan. That was really helpful. Something that really stood out to me there was how customizable the rules are and everything that you can set up is. One of the things we always see with Shadow IT is that battle between being safe and being productive as a business. And people quite often are like, oh, but I just need to do this to do my job. And actually, you can see just how customizable that solution is. So that argument can, be decreased a little bit. So I just want to open up the floor now to some questions. So if anyone does have any questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A box and I can ask Aidan. And whether it's about Shadow IT in general and file sharing as a principle or the product specifically. So please put them in the chat. And whilst I give you guys some time to think, I do actually have some questions for you, Aidan. So one of the things that I was thinking about whilst watching this was, is there anything that you often see people are surprised, like any piece of data that is quite common that people don't realize is out there, that using the product they realize, oh, that's been on the internet or that's in public and accessible? Is there a specific type of data that does keep cropping up?
Yeah, I think I guess there's two answers to it. The first piece is the Casbin world. I think when people perform the initial scan, there is a shock in a lot of cases at the number of files that have been shared publicly, and in some cases the content of those files as well. So the initial scans that we did with some customers, yeah, they got a real surprise with what content had been shared publicly. And I guess as well, people sometimes don't realize that when something is shared publicly in Google and within Microsoft, it means if that link is available, then anyone on the internet can access that data. So that's the big thing. I guess the other one was when we released the Shadow IT and showing the email accounts that were associated with the people accessing those cloud apps. We had a couple of people came back to us and they found like that people had over 10 personal Gmail or Hotmail accounts on use within their corporate laptops, again, which came as a shock. Like in a lot of cases, I think in both cases it was probably okay when we spoke to them, but they did go to have a word with the people in question to wonder why they were using so many personal accounts on their corporate devices.
Yeah, I think there is now like a risk now if someone did the free trial or they get this product in that they are going to be shocked. One thing I'd say with that,
they might be shocked, but I guess it's very important that you discover that, because if you have those files shared publicly and there's content within them, then it's something that you do need to know.
Exactly. And what would your advice be to someone who is in that position? Do you have any advice or recommendations if you once you get the light shone on the problem, what would be your advice to kind of start to solve that problem?
So definitely well, there's two things. Either one, you need to go and decide which ones you want to keep shared publicly and which ones you want to remove the permissions from. The other one is that it is as well advisable to maybe go and look at the settings in both Google and Microsoft, because there are controls that you can put in place there as well to prevent people to be able to share publicly as well. So that would be the two main things that people would do. The other thing is that we've discussed, but we haven't done yet, is that we are talking about building an AI agent that would basically, once the initial scan is done and the results are returned, that the agent would run on the results and then would make a decision whether the file should be shared publicly or not, and then would send that report back to the end user, just to speed up the process of tidying up the initial scan results, basically.
Brilliant. That's really interesting. I think one of the key things that always comes out when I particularly think about dope security as well is the speed in which things happen. And we all saw it on the demo, just how quickly those policies change by you pressing a button. So I can imagine, because this is one part of an IT manager or a cybersecurity manager's job, and is this, is this one of the like benefits that a lot of people have said to you, is the ability to do things at speed, or are there other benefits that they often highlight?
Yeah, I think overall the TCO, the total cost of ownership in our product is far lower compared to other secure web gateways in the market. So secure web gateways where the proxy is on in a data center remotely. It means that when an agent is deployed, there's still the issue that you have to route the traffic from the device to the data center. In our case, because the proxy is on device, it means once it's deployed, you don't have the hassle of having to worry about routing traffic. You don't have to worry about pack files or any of that. I guess the other piece as well, because we're on the device, it means that we play a lot better with the other network of the adapters that are on the device. So, like for example, VPNs, we come before a VPN. So that means that we'll apply a policy and then we'll pass that traffic onto the VPN. So in a lot of cases, some companies, especially during and after COVID, they had the situation where when people were working remotely, they had to send all the traffic back in to their network for it to be secured, maybe by a firewall. What we were able to offer them is they could do a split VPN tunnel so that when the traffic hit the VPN, they could only send what they needed to send back into the network, and everything else could go direct to the internet. And they were safe in the knowledge that we were after securing that internet traffic on the device. And obviously there's a cost saving in that as well.
That's really helpful to know. And I guess one final question from me, and unless anyone else has got any more, please put them in the chat. But I would say kind of you've been in the industry for a while, Aidan. You're very, very strong technically. You know a lot of information. Where do you kind of see shadow IT and file sharing? Where do you see this going in the future?
Although I think that the biggest thing is for people to be able to put controls in place, because I mean the number of SaaS apps is only growing and growing and growing. So like the opportunity for people to be able to exfiltrate data is only getting bigger. So the most important thing is for people to be able to put those controls in place, and that's where I see the importance of a proxy. I mean, proxies can be difficult at times to deploy, but what they offer you is the visibility that they offer you, number one, into the traffic that or how people are accessing the internet from their device, and then the controls that you can put in place with the proxy means that it's of a huge advantage to people to be able to see what people are doing and then to be able to control it afterwards.
Fantastic. That's a brilliant answer. We do actually have a question from Anton. Hey, Anton. So your question for Aidan is, are you able to secure web traffic from agentless clients via methods such as firewall redirection or any other means?
So as well, I guess I can tell you exactly what we secure, because I'm not 100% sure if I get the question. So what we secure is we secure all HTTP and all HTTPS traffic that's leaving the device from any port. So we don't monitor FTP traffic or SSH traffic or anything like that. It's just HTTP and HTTPS traffic. So if that traffic is leaving the device, we intercept it and then we inspect it and then we apply policy based on that. So I don't know, Anton, if I've answered your question there or not.
Hopefully that does answer your question, Anton. If not,
let me know if it doesn't, because
yeah, if not, we can reach out to you and we can definitely make sure. Oh, he's typing. Okay, you did answer their question. Thank you so much, Anton, and thank you so much, Aidan. Brilliant. If that's all the questions for now, we will wrap up. I'm going to just pop a poll on your screen just to help us do these webinars more informatively and keep improving them. It'll be great to get some feedback on this session. I want to take an opportunity now to thank Aidan for his time and his expertise in this field. That was really helpful, and it was brilliant to see how the product works and exactly just how easy it is to use it and to keep developing it. So I also want to thank everyone else today for their time. It was fantastic to see you all here, and I hope to see you at another one of our webinars soon. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Aidan.